let us just jump into it. I have a lot of scripture for you. Okay, so let us just jump into it. John chapter 9, verse 31. Let's just jump. John chapter 9, verse 31. When you got it, say, I got it.
Got it.
You see it up there? Say it's up there.
It's up there.
Now we know that God does not hear sinners. But if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's all we're going to read on that. That's it. Now let's jump to Mark chapter 9. And we got a lot to read on this one. Mark chapter 9. When you got it, say I got it.
Got it.
See it up there, say, go ahead, Lorenzo.
Go ahead, Lorenzo.
All right, there we go. All right. And when he came to the disciples, he saw a great multitude around them and scribes disputing with them. Immediately, when they saw him, all the people were greatly amazed and running to him, greeted him. And he asked the scribes, what are you discussing with them? Then one of the crowd answered and said, Teacher, I brought you my son, who has a mute spirit. And wherever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not. Verse 19, he answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him to me. Then they brought him to him, and when he saw him, immediately the spirit convulsed him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth. Verse 21, so he asked his father, how long has this been happening to him? And he said, from childhood. And often he has thrown them both into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you can do anything,
come on,
have compassion on us and help us. Verse 23, Jesus said to him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. Now this passage of scripture has a lot of teaching moments. Verse 24, immediately the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. Verse 25, when Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, deaf and dumb spirit, I command you to come out of him and enter him no more. Verse 26, then the spirit cried out, convulsed him greatly, and came out of him, and he became as one dead, so that many said, he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. Verse 28, and when he had come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could we not cast it out? Verse 29, so he said to them, this kind can come out by nothing but prayer and fasting. And this is the word of the Lord. You may be seated. One of the most disturbing and frustrating things in a believer's life is when they feel that they've been praying to God, praying their eyes out, and believing unto their heart's content, and nothing happens.
Right.
That's one of the most frustrating and disturbing things, is when you've been praying till you can't pray anymore.
Right.
You've been crying out to God, and you don't see any result. And you feel like God isn't hearing you, your prayers aren't getting answered. How do I continue in my faith, Mr. Preacher Man? How do I continue in my faith, Pastor, when I feel like God isn't answering my prayer? When God doesn't even hear me? How do I continue? That's frustrating. Now, many Christians won't, and many believers won't tell you that that's what they're thinking, but by their actions, you see that there's some type of distraction that has taken place over the course of their faith walk that really has rocked them from their core. And a lot of times it's when you go and pray and pray and pray for something to happen and it doesn't manifest.
Yes, Lord.
You pray for somebody's healing, and they pass away. You pray for financial breakthrough, and you get evicted. You pray and you pray and you pray, and nothing happens. Has anybody been there?
Yes.
All right. So, okay. So I'm talking to the right room. So here, I just want to let you know what we're not going to address. I'm not going to tell you how to continue in your faith when your prayers don't get answered. And that's the question that many people have. Pastor, how do I continue in my faith when my prayers don't get answered? I'm not going to tell you that. But what I am going to tell you and teach you is how to get your prayers answered.
Yes. That's good, Pastor.
See, sometimes we can ask the wrong questions. And when we ask the wrong questions, we're seeking the wrong answers. I'm not going to answer the question, how do you go forward when your prayers don't get answered? But I am going to teach you how to get your prayers answered. Now, I need you to stay with me this series. There's no way I can teach you all of that today.
Okay.
All right? So promise me you'll come back.
Amen.
Promise me you'll come back.
Yes, sir.
All right, promise me, okay? I remember, I always laugh when Nikki comes in and she talks about, what she believed in God for in prayer and stuff like that, because she used to make the joke. She was like, man, you come here, man, Pastor pray for you, man, you're going to get that job, it's going to happen, and we laugh and we make a joke about it, but we really want to teach people how to get prayers answered.
Yes, yes.
Because answers matter. So this series is called Answered Prayer. All right? So one of the things that we're seeing, I want to go first to John chapter 9:31. Okay? And just that passage, it says, now we know that God does not hear sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. Okay? You may have heard it said that God does not answer the prayer of sinners. Okay? Now, we have two categories here. We have those that are considered sinners, not by basic actions that they do on a day-to-day basis, but by mindset, by heart, right? So we're not talking about, hey, did you lie to your kids about the Easter Bunny or whatever? Did you lie to your kids about really, throwing away their homework from school? Did you really lie to those are things that doesn't classify you as sinner. We're not talking about the act, we're talking about the state. Okay? The state of being. Whether you have accepted God or whether you have not. Okay? And so here, when he says God does not answer the prayer of sinners, I want to first address this, because if you're in this category, then it's a simple fix to start you off, and then we can go on from there, okay? But if you haven't addressed this part, then for me to jump to the other passage of scripture, really you'll miss all of that, okay? So here we see God does not answer the prayer of sinners. This is because prayer is not an opportunity for you to get what you want from God.
Say it again.
It is an opportunity for you to partner with God.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay? Prayer is not an opportunity for you to get what you want from God. Most people are crying out, trying to get something from God. And you're like, God, do this for me. God, give me a new job. God, give me a new house. God, give me a new car. God, fix my kids. God, fix the man. God, give me this. God. And God ain't hearing you.
Come on.
Because prayer, you're trying to get something from God, and prayer is an opportunity to partner with God. Now, partnership here now is not just, hey, God, do this for me. See, partnership is give and take. So therefore, the first prayer that a sinner must pray that God will hear is an opportunity for partnership, is the prayer of salvation.
All right, Pastor.
Many people are praying and saying, God, I need you to show up.
Yeah.
Save me, Lord, from my situation. And God, maybe you don't see anything happening. And you're saying, God, save me. And you might say, Pastor, isn't that the prayer of salvation? well, hold on. The first prayer that a sinner must pray for God to hear is the prayer for salvation. There's no prayer for salvation without a heart of submission. Okay?
Okay.
There's no prayer of salvation without a heart of submission.
I hear that.
Let me explain. Many people want to be rescued from their circumstance while still having the heart that will re-engage them in their situation and circumstance.
That's big.
Many people want to be saved without repentance.
Okay.
You cannot be saved without repentance. Okay? When we talk about Christianity 101, the first principle is faith toward God and repentance from dead works. You cannot be saved without repentance. You cannot be saved without a heart for God.
Good, good.
Because now you're getting lip service. There are many people out in the church that have not actually obtained and attained salvation, but are going through the motions because their heart has not been turned toward God.
That's good.
So here, right off the bat, some of you, your prayers aren't being heard. Let's just get that out there. Because your heart hasn't been turned toward God. You have not submitted. For many, submission is a cuss word. So, therefore, when we're talking about God hearing your prayer, rescue me, rescue me, rescue me. God, I'm sorry. Lord, please don't let her, be pregnant. Oh, God, don't let me be pregnant. Oh, you're asking for rescue. And God's like, where's your heart with it?
Oh.
Go ahead.
I can't hear you. My mother used to say, boy, I can't hear what you're saying because I'm too busy seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
See, where is your heart? So, Scripture says, God does not hear sinners. And then, but if anyone is a worshiper of God, then there's that conjunction, and does his will. He hears him. Why is that word "and" there? Okay? That word "and" is there because not it's either or, worshiper of God, and then you decide to do God's will. You moving forward, doing God's will is an indication that you're a worshiper of him. You moving forward, just like I said, I can't see what you're doing. I can't hear what you're saying because I see what you're doing. Your actions tell me what you believe.
Good.
My actions, your actions tell me what you're worshiping. Your actions tell me what your priority is. And so God's like, you're not even making me a priority, but you want me to make you one.
Wow.
See, God here is looking for relationship with you.
Yes.
And many of us are accustomed to engaging in relationship and asking someone to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves.
Wow.
And so therefore, when you're praying, your heart says that this is one-sided, Lord. I want you to rescue me in this particular situation. And so I want you to be there for me, but God, I'm not going to be there with my actions. So no, many people's prayers aren't being heard. And it's funny because the man that was saying this in this passage of scripture were talking to religious folk. And they were challenging him because Jesus had just healed his eyesight. He was born blind. And they were challenging him. And they said, who healed you? He was like, Jesus healed me. And they were like, no, because we know that this man is not of God. And so the man says, well, I don't know what you know, but I do know, according to your teaching, that God doesn't hear a sinner's prayer. So I know that God heard this man, and this man heard that this man healed me. So I know that this is a man of God because he was heard by God. So they're challenging him. And so here we see that many people's prayers aren't getting answered simply because of their heart condition.
Good.
You have a heart condition. So the first thing is check your heart.
Good.
Everybody say check your heart.
Check your heart.
Okay. Now, all right. Now, y'all are kind of silent on that one. So I either assume that, all of y'all are not on that side of the house and your heart is great. And you're like, all right, Pastor, I don't fall in that category. Or most of y'all fall in that category and I get stepped all over your toes and and everything like that. All right. So you know, I don't know, but we gonna go on. Okay. So everybody should check your heart.
Check your heart.
All right. So now let's move on. So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So now let's move on. Now, Pastor, I'm not in that category. I'm a believer, but why aren't my prayers being answered? Well, first off, prayers without answers is pointless. It's pointless, and we were not conditioned to go with unanswered prayer. Amen. We were not conditioned to go with unanswered prayer. Now, for some of you, you have gotten so accustomed to having unanswered prayer that me saying this is very foreign.
Go ahead. And
you feel like I'm trying to brainwash you. And I am. I'm trying to change
Good.
your mindset.
All right, Pastor.
We were not conditioned to have prayers go unanswered. Well, Pastor, why do you say that? Because there's no instruction. There's no scriptural instruction for it to accept unanswered prayer. Many of us have learned to accept unanswered prayer to such a degree that we built a theology around it. We built a theology that says, in my struggle, God wants me to struggle.
Okay.
Because he's trying to do this for me, and so I must go through this.
Right.
We've built a theology around it where many people have said God either says yes, no, or not yet.
Right.
Has anybody ever heard that?
Yes, we have.
Okay, all right. So we built a theology around and an ideology around unanswered prayer. Why? Because facing the fact that our prayers have gone unanswered and saying that something is wrong with us, it's too painful. Therefore we have to create an ideology around it to make us feel better.
Yeah.
But if there's unanswered prayer is communication.
Yeah.
Either there's a problem with God or there's a problem with me. Now, there can't be a problem with God because God is perfect. God is omniscient. He's omnipotent. He's all of these things. So it can't be a problem with God, so therefore there must be a problem with me.
Okay.
But rather than do that and accept that and face that fact, we create a theology and we teach it and make people okay with unanswered prayer. But it's an attack of the enemy to take away your authority and your power.
Good.
Teach.
Period.
Yes, sir.
Because if I can get you to think that you have no power, you definitely won't exercise it.
Go ahead now.
That's
Go
good.
ahead now.
So, we are not conditioned for unanswered prayer. We weren't designed for it. And so, prayer is an opportunity to partner with God.
Yes.
Unanswered prayer I'm gonna really offend some people here, but I've already started. I've already started. Once you go in, you just go in.
Go in.
Only complacency and ignorance tolerates unanswered prayer.
Wow.
Complacency and ignorance. Now, some of us are complacent and ignorant. Some of us are complacent and some of us are ignorant.
Okay.
Only complacency and ignorance tolerates unanswered prayer. In the scripture, when we're talking in Mark, chapter 9, we go to verses 24 through 25. In Mark chapter 9, I'm sorry, not verse 24. Let us go to 28 and 29. And when he had come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, why unanswered prayer?
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? They sought answers. Yeah. Unanswered prayer is supposed to irritate you so much
that's good.
that it compels you to seek answers. where we're getting complacent, we're supposed to be compelled to
Go ahead,
seek
Pastor.
breakthrough.
Yes,
So
sir.
therefore,
Yes,
what's
sir.
happening is the enemy has said, okay, I'm going to give you this
Go
theology and I'm going to take away your power,
Come on.
but we are supposed to seek answers until we get breakthrough.
Come on.
Yes,
That's good
yes.
right there.
We were not designed for unanswered prayer.
Uh-huh.
Good. Good.
So right now, many of us are operating apart from our design.
Wow. Good, Pastor.
You're broken.
Woo.
Where's the receipt? I need to take you back to the manufacturer.
That's good right there.
We were not designed. I challenge anybody to show me where it's acceptable. Where is it acceptable?
This is good.
So why are we accepting it?
This is good.
We should have an expectation.
Yes,
Now,
expectation.
hold on. Now, okay, Pastor, during this episode in Mark, there were nine disciples. What happened to the other three? Well, they were with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration,
Right.
having that experience,
Right.
okay? And then when they came down, Jesus runs into everybody. He's like, what's going on? And so the people brought this boy to the disciples. Well, why didn't they just bring him to Jesus? Well, hold on. This was not out of the ordinary. Because as a disciple, the expectation is that I'm able to do exactly
Yeah.
what the teacher does.
Right.
Well, yeah.
I'm able to do it. And they were accustomed to having that power and authority and doing what they saw the master doing. So it's not high expectations, or it's not ungodly, it's not anything out of the ordinary. They were supposed to be able to do this. As a follower of Christ, you are expected to have the ability
Come on.
to speak and pray
Yes.
and have prayers answered. You are expected to have the ability to help people get delivered.
Yeah.
You
Come on,
are
come on.
expected
Yeah.
to have the ability to speak and change the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's an expectation.
Come on now.
Why are we living below the expectation? It's a standard.
Yes.
We got subpar believers. We've never been designed to have unanswered
Come on
prayer.
now, Pastor. Help us out.
So I tell you, prayers without answers is pointless. It destroys your faith. It takes you away from who you're supposed to be. And then we see the first prayer is the prayer of salvation. And prayer is an opportunity to partner with God. And in that, we're going through the process of partnership. Everybody say prayer is an opportunity
It's an opportunity
to partner
to partner
with God.
With God.
So we are trying to establish a partnership. Now, so the backbone of this, now I can't wait till I get into all of this stuff on the so quote unquote the Lord's Prayer and all of this other stuff, because we don't change how you've been thinking about this thing, okay? We're gonna really show you how to get prayers answered. So here we have the disciples, they're asking Jesus, they said, how come? And he says, this kind can come out by nothing but prayer and fasting. And he's not telling them to pray and fast right now. He's saying that you can't do that right now.
Yeah.
You have to do it ahead of time. You have to fill your tank so that you have something to go in regards to your reserve. Many people never engage in true prayer and never engage in fasting so that they can connect with God and actually communicate with God. So therefore, when something happens and when it's your opportunity to stand up and speak on the behalf of others, or even on the behalf of yourself or the behalf of the people, you don't have anything from your tank.
Okay.
So when we come together in prayer and fasting, we're filling up our tank.
Yes.
So
Good.
we're trying to partner with God, and prayer is just a part of the process for us to realize the beauty of that partnership. So, but here, what happens? What did they do? They didn't blame God. They didn't blame him. They didn't accuse God. We do a lot of prayer and accusations of God. God didn't do this thing for me, so it's God's fault. We do sorrowful prayers, mournful prayers, and in that we're accusing and blaming God. And as we're accusing and blaming God, we're in our hearts saying, God, you didn't do this. I have more compassion than you. And God is saying, no, because I put you here to be the conduit for things to take place on earth as they are in heaven. See, in heaven there is relationship. There's worship through relationship. There's constant relationship. And therefore, we are to be the conduit to bring forth that which is in heaven onto earth. So anything that is happening on earth that we don't like, guess whose responsibility it is? It is our responsibility because we are the conduit for whatever is taking place in heaven to be taking place on earth. And so God is saying, I'm trying to partner with you because I've given this domain here. I've given you the responsibility here so that now we can partner, and as we communicate and we're in partnership with one another, we can bring down that which is taking place in heaven to earth.
Good.
And so here we see everything that God is wanting to do. He's going to use us. He's going to use the people to do. So here we can't be okay with unanswered prayer. We have to continuously seek breakthrough.
Thank you, Lord.
Continuously seek breakthrough. Everybody say continuously seek breakthrough.
Continuously seek breakthrough.
So now, I got so much. Oh my goodness. So now, when we look at Scripture, the Bible says, Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. All these things shall be added unto you. But what's happening is many people in our prayers were seeking all these things. You know, and He's saying, no, you got it twisted. He says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness and all these things. But we're praying for all the things first. God, give me the things and then I will seek you. Give me the things and then I'll know that your kingdom is real. Give me the things.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Not even praying right. You don't even have your priorities right. Why are prayers getting unanswered? Because your heart is the issue. You're concerned about yourself. And God says, I'm not concerned about what I'm going to do for you. I'm concerned about what I'm going to do through you. But if you ain't trying to allow God to do nothing through you, you can't get a prayer answered.
Yes.
That's good right there.
You know how many prayers I prayed for myself? Very little.
Come on now.
I might say, Lord, give me strength.
Come on.
Yeah.
Lord, give me courage.
Yes.
Lord, give me an extra measure of faith.
Woo.
I'd never ever say, Lord, pay my mortgage.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He says, as long as you're faithful,
Come on.
all that stuff can be taken care of. But we get so consumed with what we want.
Right.
My daughters, man, Kristen asks me for something new every day. And I don't write it down because I can't keep up. We got some Christians asking something for God every day.
Wow.
Something new.
Can't even
Lord,
keep up.
give me a man. Oh, okay, you gave me he only 5'8", Lord. I want a 6'3" man. Okay, Lord, okay. He has a blue collar job. I want a white collar brother. All right, Lord. You know, his hair, he's balding. He got a cul-de-sac right here, Lord. You know, give him some plug. You know, we ask him for something every day.
Wow.
He's like, I'm not concerned with that.
Yeah.
And y'all laughing because y'all know I ain't lying. Most folks are doing that right now. So God says, He says, you have to make my will primary.
That's good. Yes, sir.
He's trying to have relationship.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'll tell you the best times of our marriage, me and my wife, is when I am not even concerned about me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it may take a while for me to get what I want. But no, there's a practice that we would do. And I don't know when we started. It was a long time ago. We started when we were having some of our greatest challenges.
Right.
And I would ask my wife, how can I bless you?
That's a good question right there.
And first time, she really didn't know how to answer it. It didn't take her long though. And I would try to do that thing. I said, and I'm like, just give me one thing. How can I bless you?
Yes.
Because if I do that thing now, you can't say that you didn't have a blessed day, regardless of what others do.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So when I ask you about your day, you should at least say I had a blessed day.
A blessed day.
And so she would give me little things, and then I would do them. But our best time in our marriage was when I would take the focus off of me
Go ahead. That's awesome.
and try to bless her. Our relationship with God is strengthened when we bless God with our praise.
Yes.
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 We bless God with communication
Yes, sir.
in relation to things that He's really concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
He's not concerned about whether or not you get the Audi or the Honda.
Right.
He's not concerned about that. He's trying to do something through you. And in that, many of us are not concerned enough with God doing anything through us.
Wow.
That we don't allow God to work. And so, when we spend so much of our spiritual energy then trying to fight for and pray for what He's already promised us.
Mm-hmm.
So much of your energy. How much of your energy is praying for something that He's already promised you?
Wow.
That's good. That's
What could you
awesome.
be doing? How could you be changing the landscape,
Man.
changing your family, changing the community, if you just took a fraction of the time that you spend praying for yourself,
Yeah.
praying for God's will to be done,
Yes.
for
Yes.
Him to be glorified here in the earth realm,
Yes.
for Him to be reconciled to people that are lost,
Yes.
for people to have greater experiences in Him. That is, for Him to use us
Yes.
to reflect His love.
Amen.
Do you know what kind of change you could make? But no, we're concerned with our own selves. And see, things that we pray for should never be the focus at the expense
Go ahead.
of our assignment.
Amen.
Wow.
We are throwing away our assignment, our instructions for our assignment, for things that we want to focus on. If you want prayers to get answered, focus on
Amen.
the assignment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen.
See, my prayer for you is not necessarily that you get the job. My prayer for you is that you can recognize God's activity
Yes, sir.
in your life.
Yes, sir. That's good news.
Sometimes people come to you for prayer and they want you to pray a specific thing. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes you're praying for something that will hinder
Yes.
your progress
Yes.
in God.
Wow.
You want something that will actually destroy.
Wow.
And so somebody had, because you don't know,
Uh-huh.
and because your heart is turned toward you,
Yes.
and maybe the discomfort that you feel, and the frustration that you feel, that you spend more time focusing on that. and we throw away the instructions of the assignment. God says,
Yeah.
hey, go do this. Focus on this.
Yeah.
I want us to be able to be a ministry
Come on.
Come on,
now.
Pastor.
that goes out
Yes, sir.
in prayer
Yes,
and we
sir.
see
Yeah.
things
Happen.
manifest.
Yes, sir. Oh,
We see things,
man.
we see people healed, we
Yes.
see people delivered,
Yes.
we see breakthrough.
Yes, sir.
We see,
Yes,
see,
sir.
Now it's one thing to pray
Yes.
Uh-huh.
for resources,
Yeah.
but God, give it, let your people
Come on.
Yes.
take the resources so that you can be glorified.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not for me, not to line my pockets,
Now. Go ahead now.
not so I can buy the Bentley,
Go ahead.
the Range.
Uh-huh.
See, we are supposed to move forward
Yes.
in prayer and expect answers.
Yes.
So, here in this passage of scripture, the pain of the absence of the breakthrough compelled them to seek answers. Because it's not okay. It's not okay for us not to have answered prayer.
Amen.
God never intended for us to have unanswered prayer. So, if you are one that has gotten accustomed to unanswered prayer, one, let's not create a theology
Amen.
or an ideology around it that makes it okay.
Yes.
Get uncomfortable with unanswered prayer.
Man.
That's good.
Yes.
Get
Yes.
uncomfortable
That's a gold nugget.
because you were not designed
That's
for
good.
that.
That's good.
Yes.